You ever notice how the good one is always the one who gets used up first? I'm going to tell you a story, but it isn't a fairy tale. It's a warning. A man I grew up with was allergic to conflict. He was the guy who paid when someone forgot their wallet, the guy who answered at 2 a.m., the guy who forgave before anyone even apologized. People called him solid and loyal. What they really meant was available. Then life did what life does. A few betrayals, a few humiliations he laughed off, a few "my bad" texts he accepted like medicine. And one day he went quiet. Not dramatic, not angry. Just gone. 2 years later, I saw him in a cafe. Same face, different gravity. No nervous smiling, no explaining. No trying to make anyone comfortable. He looked like someone who'd survived himself. He said one sentence that rewired my brain. I didn't become colder, I became harder to exploit. If that hit you, it's because you already know there are two versions of you. Version 1 is the negotiator, the peacemaker, the one who tries to be understood. You overextend, overthink, overgive. You believe if you stay kind long enough, people will finally treat you right. Version 2 is the architect, quiet, selective, unavailable to nonsense. This version doesn't chase respect, it enforces it, not with shouting, by removing access. This video is about building version 2, not to become cruel, but to become unbreakable. Shift 1. Stop donating your energy to people who don't invest in you. Here's the psychology nobody taught you. What you hand out freely gets priced as cheap. Humans do it because the brain assigns value based on scarcity and cost. If your time, attention, forgiveness, and presence are unlimited, your value becomes background noise. So draw a line. Not with speeches, with patterns. If someone only contacts you when they need something, you don't confront them. You change availability. If someone disrespects you and expects instant forgiveness, you don't debate. You delay access. If someone breaks trust and offers a performance instead of repair, you don't hear them out. You let consequences do the talking. Boundaries aren't a tantrum, they're a price tag. And yes, people will call you different. They'll call you cold. That's the withdrawal symptom of losing control over you. Repeat this. My attention is earned, not owed. Shift 2. Turn pain into information. Most people treat pain like a tragedy. The ruthless treat it like a report. Betrayal exposes where you were naive. Rejection shows where you were begging for permission. Disrespect reveals the lines you haven't defended. Pain is data. And data is power, if you're disciplined enough to read it. Weak minds ask, why would they do this to me? Strategic minds ask, what did this teach me about people and about me? So the next time you feel that heaviness in your chest, don't sprint toward distractions. Sit still, name it, study it. Ask, where did I ignore the first red flag? What did I tolerate to avoid discomfort? What part of me wanted to be chosen so badly that I accepted less? That's self-respect becoming intelligent. Because when you stop running from pain, you stop being controlled by it. And when people realize guilt doesn't work, tears don't work, silent treatment doesn't work, they start treating you differently. Not because you begged, because they feel the shift. This is the beginning. From today, treat your energy like ammunition. You don't fire it at random targets. You don't waste it on people who enjoy watching you bleed. You reload in silence, sleep, training, skill, money, discipline. The moment your life starts improving, certain people will try to pull you back into the old role. Don't argue. Just keep building quietly. In part 2, I'll show you the next moves, how to kill the addiction to being understood, and how to detach without turning bitter. Lock this in. I will not be easy to break. The need to be understood is not innocence. It's a leash. If you're always explaining yourself, you're handing strangers the map to your nervous system. You're saying, here's what hurts me, here's what I'm afraid of, here's what I need. And the wrong people don't use that information to love you better. They use it to steer you. Shift 3. Stop trying to be understood by people who benefit from misunderstanding you. Most people aren't confused about you. They're committed to a version of you that serves them. They want you as the helper, not the equal. They want you as the listener, not the leader. They want you as the forgiving one because forgiveness makes them comfortable. So when you change, they'll pretend not to get it. They'll ask questions that aren't questions. They're traps. Why are you acting like this? Who do you think you are now? What happened to the old you? Translation: come back to the role where you were easy. The powerful don't debate their evolution. They let results do the explaining. Silence isn't avoidance, it's restraint. Restraint creates mystery. Mystery creates caution. And caution is respect in its purest form. Here's a skill you need: the controlled pause. When someone tries to provoke you, don't answer fast. Don't defend. Don't correct their story. Pause. Breathe. Let the room get uncomfortable. That discomfort does two things. It forces them to reveal more, and it reminds them you're not reactive anymore. Reactive people are puppets. Calm people are problems. A steady face is a threat. It tells them their buttons no longer connect to anything. You don't need to win every argument. You need to stop offering access to your emotions as entertainment. Repeat this: I don't owe everyone clarity. Shift 4. Detach without begging, without drama, without speeches. Detachment isn't coldness, it's ownership. Attachment says, if you leave, I lose myself. Detachment says, if you leave, I keep myself. Read that again. Manipulators survive on one fuel: your reaction, anger, tears, explanations, chasing, closure. They'll take any emotion you give them because emotion is leverage. Detachment removes the lever. When someone pulls away to punish you, you don't chase. You don't send paragraphs. You don't negotiate your dignity. You let them go. That sounds simple, but it's one of the hardest things for a good-hearted person to do because you've been trained to confuse chasing with love. Real love has no humiliation in it. Here's what detachment looks like in real life. You stop responding instantly just to prove you care. You stop trying to fix people who enjoy being broken. You stop reopening doors that were closed for a reason. You stop seeking closure from someone who enjoys keeping you open-ended. You move like a person who can survive without anyone's approval. Because you can. And yes, detachment will trigger people, not because you hurt them, but because you stopped feeding them. They'll call you selfish when you become selective. They'll call you arrogant when you become calm. They'll call you fake when you become consistent. Let them talk. Talking is what powerless people do when they can't control you. Now, detachment doesn't mean you never feel. It means you feel privately and act strategically. You can miss someone and still not reach out. You can love someone and still not tolerate disrespect. You can forgive internally and still enforce distance externally. That's emotional discipline. That's maturity with teeth. If you want a simple test, use this question: does staying connected to this cost me my self-respect? If the answer is yes, detachment is not optional. It's survival. In part 3, we're going to build armor, boundaries that don't shake, silence that commands rooms, and the ability to stay composed while others unravel. For now, write this in your head: I don't chase what can't honor me. By now you can feel the theme. Power isn't a personality, it's a system, and the system collapses if you don't protect your space. Shift 5. Boundaries are not walls, they're filters. A boundary is simply a rule you enforce with behavior, not emotion. Most people fail here because they try to set boundaries with speeches. I just feel like you don't respect me. I'm trying to heal. Can you please stop? That language sounds reasonable, but it advertises negotiability. It invites debate, and the kind of person who ignores your comfort will happily debate your limits. Instead, the strongest boundaries are quiet and consistent. I'm not available for that. That doesn't work for me. I'm not continuing this conversation. No. No extra paragraphs, no courtroom defense, no apology. Because every time you over-explain a boundary, you're subconsciously asking permission to have it. Your life changes when you accept this. People test what they can touch. If you tolerate disrespect once, you've taught them it's rentable. If you forgive betrayal instantly, you've taught them it's affordable. If you keep returning after being drained, you've taught them your presence is endless. So you don't threaten, you enforce. When the line is crossed, the consequence arrives calmly, not as revenge, as reality. Repeat this. I protect my peace like it's property. Shift 6. Master silence, not as a vibe, but as a weapon. Silence does 3 things at once. First, it stops you from leaking information. The less people know about your triggers, your plans, your doubts, the harder you are to manipulate. Second, it forces others to expose themselves. In silence, insecure people talk. Liars over-explain. Manipulators escalate. And while they perform, you collect data. Third, it changes the atmosphere. A person who can stay calm in tension becomes the gravity in the room. People adjust to you. Here's how you practice it. When provoked, don't rush to clarity. Let them sit with uncertainty. When accused, don't scramble for innocence. Let your track record speak. When challenged, don't raise your voice. Lower it. A quiet response, delivered slowly, does more damage to ego than shouting ever will, because shouting says, "You got to me." Silence says, "You didn't even reach me." Exercise. Next conversation, count to 3 before every reply. Feel the urge to fill space. Don't. Watch how the other person starts explaining more, softening their tone or revealing motives. That pause is leverage immediately. Now, silence is not passive. It's controlled. You're not freezing. You're choosing. And there's a difference between being silent and being absent-minded. Silent power is alert. It watches everything. Shift 7. Make your loyalty expensive. This is where people get confused, so listen carefully. I'm not telling you to betray friends or play games. I'm telling you to stop handing out lifelong access to people on short-term behavior. Blind loyalty is how you get recruited into someone else's mess. Selective loyalty is how you stay sovereign. Your loyalty should attach to 3 things: character, consistency, contribution. Character. Do they do the right thing when it costs them? Consistency. Do they respect you when you're not useful? Contribution. Do they add strength to your life, or do they only extract it? If those 3 aren't present, loyalty becomes self-sabotage. So you keep your heart warm, but your standards cold. You show respect, but you don't surrender autonomy. You commit, but you don't become dependent. You support, but you don't disappear inside other people's needs. This is what mature power looks like. You can be kind and still be unmovable. And when someone tries to guilt you with, "After everything I've done," you remember the rule. A favor doesn't buy permanent permission. In part 4, we finish the transformation. How to become untouchable, emotionally, socially, and mentally, so no insult, rejection, or manipulation can steer you again. Until then, keep this sentence in your pocket. My standards are the door. My discipline is the lock. This is the final shift, and it's the one that changes your entire life. Shift 8. Become untouchable. Untouchable doesn't mean emotionless. It means unreachable by manipulation. It means insults don't steer you. It means rejection doesn't define you. It means praise doesn't buy you. It means guilt doesn't control you. Most people live like open circuits. Anyone can touch the wire and make them spark. A comment ruins their day. A late reply triggers panic. A cold tone sends them spiraling. That's not sensitivity. That's ownership by other people. Untouchable is the decision to take your mind back, and it starts with one uncomfortable truth. If someone can control your emotions, they can control your actions. So you remove the handles. Handle 1, the need for approval. Approval is addictive because it feels like safety, but safety that comes from other people is a leash. The moment you stop chasing applause, you stop being trainable. You replace approval with standards. You ask, did I respect myself today? That's the only vote that counts. Handle 2, the need for revenge. Revenge feels powerful, but it keeps your enemy in your head rent-free. It ties your nervous system to their existence. The untouchable don't chase payback. They chase elevation. When you level up, the people who tried to shrink you feel the consequence without you lifting a finger. Your silence becomes the verdict. Handle 3. The need to be right. Being right is ego. Being effective is power. Sometimes you can win an argument and lose control. The untouchable choose control every time. They don't enter every battle. They choose the ones that build their future. Now, here's the core skill that makes untouchable real: emotional delay. When something hits you, an insult, a betrayal, a sudden loss, you don't respond at the moment of impact. You create space. Space is where you convert emotion into strategy. You breathe, you step back, you watch, you decide. That one gap is the difference between the old you and the new you. Old you reacts, new you responds, and response is always chosen. This is why disciplined people look cold to undisciplined people. The chaotic can't imagine not obeying every feeling, but once you master delay, you become unpredictable. And unpredictability is what breaks manipulation. Because manipulators need patterns. They need you to react the same way every time. They need your guilt on schedule. They need your anger on demand. Untouchable refuses. You become the person who can walk away mid-conversation. The person who can lose someone and still sleep. The person who can be misunderstood and keep building. The person who can be alone and feel rich. That's sovereignty. And here's the banger truth. The world doesn't respect the person who wants peace. It respects the person who can create peace without permission. So let your life become evidence. Protect your attention. Turn pain into instruction. Let people guess. Detach when respect disappears. Enforce your boundaries. Use silence as control. Make loyalty selective and anchor everything to your purpose. If you do that long enough, something strange happens. Your presence changes. You stop walking into rooms looking for acceptance. You walk in already complete. You stop talking to be liked. You speak when it matters. You stop chasing. You attract. You stop fearing loss. You become the loss. Not because you're cruel, because you're no longer available. If you want more of this, no fluff, just psychology you can use. Hit like, subscribe, and share it with the one person who keeps giving too much. Next video, we go deeper. Now I want you to seal this with a final contract. Say it out loud, even if it's quiet. I am not easy to manipulate. I'm not easy to break. I'm not easy to replace. And if you felt this in your bones, carry it into the next 24 hours. One decision, one boundary, one moment of silence where the old you would have explained. That's how you become untouchable. One controlled choice at a time.